Hello, I'm Dr. Kai Havarilla, and today I'd like to give you a brief introduction to the Mendeley referencing tool and application. Okay, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with Mendeley, it's a free referencing tool that is quite useful when it comes to writing academic papers and conducting research. It works on multiple platforms, including Microsoft Windows, Mac, and Linux. It's also compatible with all browsers, including Google Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. It also includes a plugin for Microsoft Word, which we'll look at a little bit later on. It also creates citations for a number of different referencing styles, including all of the usual suspects, including APA, Harvard, AMA, and so on. And if used appropriately, using this tool can save you quite a lot of time, and it's fairly easy to use both as an application and plugin. So to start, you need to download the Mendeley Reference Manager for desktop application. And like I said in the previous slide, it's available for download on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And you can also download the Word plugin from the Mendeley website. You can also use these links on the slide to download both. Okay, now let's move on to the Mendeley desktop application. Okay, so this desktop application is basically your central database for all of your references. You first create the references in this application, and once the application has synced up with the plugin, then the reference will be available to add in Microsoft Word. And also, if any changes need to be made to the references, then this must be done on the desktop application first. Okay, so now let's go into the details of the application. So on the left-hand side, you can see the all the different reference folders like you see here. Then you also have things like collections and groups, which we'll look at a little bit later on. And on the majority of the screen, you can see the actual references themselves. So the references will include things like the authors, the publication year, the title of the work itself, the source, when it was added, as well as whether or not you have the actual file. And then on the bottom right, you can see the sync button. So basically, when you add new references, you can click on that button and the new references should be available on the Microsoft Word plugin. Okay, so now let's move on to adding new references to the application. So the first step is to click on the Add New button on the upper left corner, like you see here. And in most cases, you'll either add files from your computer or you will add an entry manually. So with the files from computer option, you can import a PDF straight from your computer, and the key information will be input automatically into the fields. However, this option will use up more space, which will be somewhat limited with the free plan. So basically, more space gets used up because the entire PDF file will be added to the application. But let's quickly go through an example just to see what it looks like to import a file. So I'm just going to go over to a reference that I've used quite often. Simply have to click on there. Then you just have to wait a few seconds and then it will be added to the application. And here you can see the authors, the year, the title, the source. If you just give it a quick click, you'll find all of the relevant information on here. So it's a pretty straightforward way to add the files straight from your computer using this method. So in order to save some space, you should add the references manually. So that will take up a little bit more time, but it's still a fairly quick option, especially if you can find the DOI. So let's try this manual method. So if you know the DOI, you simply have to add it into the identifiers box like you see here. So there is one that I'm going to add, and then all you have to do is simply click on it. And it should come up with all of the relevant information fairly quickly. It'll include things like the reference type, the title, the authors, the journal, the publication year, as well as the pages, the volume and issue number. So again, the DOI is usually pretty easy to find. You can usually find it on the front page of PDFs. And if you're finding it on a browser, it's usually found at the top of the page near the title and the author names. But on the rare occasion, it might not include every little piece of information. So be sure to double check that everything has been included when it is automatically adding all of this information. And if you cannot find a DOI, you can also input all of the information manually. So you simply have to choose the reference type, which in most cases is simply going to be a journal article, but you can find options for all these sort of usual suspects. So things like books, web pages, conference proceedings, chapters, and so on and so forth. So once you've chosen the reference type, then you simply have to input the information. So again, you have to add things like the title, author names, the journal name, and so on and so forth. Also, if a web page is available for your reference, you can add the URL by simply clicking on the reference. So let's add this reference first. And then all you have to do is simply click on it once, and then you can add the URL and other any sort of useful information that it might not have included. So that's all you really have to do if you want to add a reference manually. Now let's move on to groups. So groups can be very useful when you're a part of multiple research projects with different members, and these different projects can be managed quite easily with groups. So to add a group, you simply have to click Create Group on the sidebar, as you can see on the left-hand side, and then you simply have to write the name of your group. I already have an example right here, so it's pretty straightforward. If you want to invite members, you simply have to move your cursor to the group name and click on the three dots on the right, and then click Manage Group, and then click on the Invite Members button like you see here. So from there, you simply add the email addresses of your group members into the box and then click the Send Invite button. So it's important to note that some university firewalls don't allow the use of university emails, so you might need to use the personal email addresses in some case. And also, when you add a new reference, it'll first be added to the All References folder. So what you see right here. And in order to add it to the group folder, you simply have to drag and drop the reference into the applicable group folder. So let's just go back to the all reference. If I do want to add, let's say this one that I recently just added to here, I just simply have to drag and drop it, and then it will be added to the group like you see here. Okay, so before we proceed, I want to make a quick note on duplicates. So sometimes you might accidentally add duplicate references to the application, maybe from different research projects, and this will show up in a duplicates folder the next time you open up the desktop application. And as you can see here, there is a duplicates folder, so I have added a couple. So to remove them, all you have to do is click on the Actions button, like you see here, and then simply click on Move Reference to Trash, and then you won't have that duplicate anymore. Okay, so now let's move on to using the plugin on Microsoft Word, which can be very handy as you're writing your papers. So first, you have to install the Mendeley Word plugin, which you can find on the Mendeley website. And it's a fairly straightforward process. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes to download. I will note that when you're installing the plugin, you do have to quit the Word application on your computer. So once it's been installed, you can locate the plugin on Word by going to the References tab. And you should find the Mendeley Site plugin right there on the right-hand side of the toolbar. So once you click on the logo, your references should appear on a sidebar on the right-hand side of the Word application. And you can also find your group references by clicking on the All References tab, as you see here. And then that should open up a new sidebar with reference and group folders, and you can choose your group from there. But let's just go back. So if you wish to change your citation style for your in-text citations and reference list, you can click on the Citation Settings tab and then choose your citation style from there. So there are many styles to choose from, including things like APA, AMA, Harvard, Chicago, and many others. And it also previews what the citations will look like, as you can see here, both the in-text citations and the reference list. And that's very, very useful because automated referencing tools have been known to make the odd mistake from time to time. So I think that this is a very nice touch because it gives you that peace of mind by ensuring that the referencing has been done properly. Now your references are ready to be added to your text. So this is a fairly straightforward task. all you really have to do is click on the location in the text where you want your citation to be included, which is often at the end of a sentence. And then you simply have to click on the box of the reference that you wish to add to the text. So let's go with this one. And then at the bottom of the plugin, a blue box titled Insert One Citation will appear, and then you simply have to click on that button. And once you've done that, the reference should appear in the text in the correct citation style. And also, there is a little additional feature in the plugin that I really appreciate, where it basically tells you whether you've actually used this citation in your work with the checkmark and cited text at the bottom right of the citation, like you see right here. And I really like that because eventually you'll have a lot of references in your work and it gets a little difficult to keep track of all of them. So this is a nice little feature that helps with that issue. So eventually all of your references will be added to your text, which means the final step is to create a bibliography or a reference list. Now with Mendeley, this is a pretty simple task. All you have to do is click on the appropriate place in the text where you want your bibliography to be. And then you have to click on the three dots of the top right corner of the Word plugin and then click on Insert Bibliography. So let's do that. Let's type in reference list. And we want it to be below that. So again, click on these three dots and then click Insert Bibliography. And then you'll want to go with Continue. And right here, you can see the entire reference list. So again, it should appear in the document in the correct citation style, and I chose APA, and it seems to be correct. So it has done the job really well. Okay, so just one more side note before we conclude. Like I mentioned earlier, automated citation tools occasionally make some errors, and Mendeley is aware of that and has included a manual editing option in the Word plugin. So to manually edit a citation, all you have to do is click on the in-text citation that you wish to edit. So let's go with this one, for example. And then you have to just simply click on manually override like you see at the bottom of the plugin sidebar, and then you'll be able to edit the in-text citation to your liking. So if you do want to change it up, if there are some issues, then all you have to do is make a change. Let's say that it should have been 2024, for example, and then you just simply have to click Save Changes, and then it will make that change. So this is another feature that I really appreciate because it allows you to correct the occasional errors without having to do any sort of odd workarounds, which could end up taking a lot of time. Okay, so this concludes my brief crash course on Mendeley. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope it cleared up any confusion that you might have with this application and plugin. If there's anything that I missed or any comments that you'd like to provide, just leave a comment down below. Again, I'm Dr. Kai Havarilla, and hopefully I'll see you soon in my next video.